Hi, my name's Cheryl, and I'm co-founder of AlopeciaWorld.com. My first experience with alopecia was when I was 13 years old. I had just a small patch, maybe about the size of a dime, and my mom just rubbed it, I think, with like olive oil or something. I don't know. It grew back, and I didn't think anything of it. It wasn't until I was 26, actually, when I was actually camping, and somebody said, "Have you shaved the back of your head and around your ears?" And I said, "No." I went home and I looked, and sure enough, it was started like right around my ears. It was starting to really extend far out. Over the next couple of months, I was washing my hair and clumps were coming out, and I was brushing my hair and it would come out. And I was getting to a point that I was almost afraid to brush, to wash, to do anything with my head because I was afraid my hair was going to fall out. Eventually, I went to a dermatologist, and at that time they told me it was stress, which didn't help because when someone tells you you're stressed, it's causing your hair to fall out. What do? You stress more, and you think that you're that's what's making it even get worse. So I went for a second opinion, and they told me finally it was alopecia. And he said at that time, he said the best bet was for you to get a wig. I was convinced. I was sure he was just going to tell me, here's some medication, here you go, take this. 2 weeks, everything was going to be fine. I walked out of there, and I was fine. I got in the elevator, and I just broke down. I just started crying and crying and crying. I guess my emotions had just got to me that point. And over the next little while, I still wasn't ready to buy a wig. And my hair kept falling out. I put on a handkerchief that went long to a point where I just had bangs left. That was all I had left. And for whatever reason, I was not able to buy a wig. I was still in denial, and I'd look in the mirror and I would just look and I'd pull a piece and it would come out in my hand. And I was thinking, like, when is this going to stop? But it wasn't stopping. It just continued to fall out. Finally, I figured it was time for me to get a wig. So at that particular time, I went and I purchased a wig. I went to one place and he told me they can make me a partial. But I'm thinking from everything I read, you make me a partial. Well, what happens when the rest falls out, right? But then you got to go back and they make you another partial. And I'm saying, these people are pulling me for my money. These people are just trying and working on my emotions. So I wasn't happy with that. So I went to a different place to buy a wig, and she took the scarf off and she goes, "Oh dear, no, you can't go out like that." So it kept reinforcing in my mind, that I cannot go out like this. This is not a good thing. And so eventually I did buy a wig. And I remember I went home, and I didn't live with my parents at the time, but I went home because I went wig shopping with my sister and my mom. And I went home and I took it off because I was going to try the wig on. My dad was in the living room, and I think it was his first experience of seeing me. And I just heard him say, "Oh my God." And I don't think he meant it in a real negative way. I just think it was just his emotions coming out. It was his little girl, sort of thing. You have all your dreams for your girls. I was not quite little at that time. I was 26, but I was still his little girl, and so that was so. I put the wig on. They wanted to shave the bangs. I wouldn't let them still. And finally, when I got home and I was by myself, I shaved it myself. It was mine. So I took that off and I wore the wigs, but I wasn't happy wearing the wigs. I wasn't uncomfortable. I constantly felt like I was hiding. I tended to hermit myself a little bit more because I didn't want to have to explain to people what was going on. People would see me in a scarf and just like this little bangs, and now all of a sudden I've got this hair. It was just a time where I didn't want people to ask me questions. People asked me questions, I was afraid I'd probably just start crying. And at that particular time, I went to my first conference, and at that time, everyone wore wigs. The men, the women, the kids, everyone wore wigs. There was one black woman who walked in, and she had big loop earrings, and she wasn't wearing a wig. And I remember I was just fixated on her. I was just looking at this woman, and I was going, that's where I want to be. One day, that's where I want to be. So when I got home after that conference, I slowly started to just make some changes, and I'd wear a handkerchief to the gym, when I went to work out. And then I started when I went to the store, and then I started just time and time, just going different places without the wig on. But at that time, still I was wearing a handkerchief. And I remember one night I decided I was going with my sister and some friends, and I said, I think I'm going to go out without anything. And luckily, I've been extremely lucky with the people around me. Have always been supportive, and they were like, yeah, this will be great, sort of thing. And so, but I remember I was going to meet them. I had my hand on the doorknob, and I was just shaking. And I think I must have stood there for 5 minutes. I was afraid to open that door. And so, anyhow, I walked at that door, and everything that in a lot of ways, a lot of things that I thought was going to happen, the reactions I thought I was going to have, I didn't have, which surprised me. You know, here I was spending all this time sort of living in fear and not wanting to take the wig off, I was afraid what people were going to say. And I went out, nobody said anything. In fact, I had some positive comments as well. The only place where I was still wearing my wig was work at that particular time. And it was a Christmas party, which I sort of figured, Christmas party is my time. It's not in the office. It's not office space. I'll go to the Christmas party without the wig. And so I went to the Christmas party, the work Christmas party without the wig, and then after that, I had stopped wearing the wigs. Luckily, my company was fine with it. They were fine with me going in without it. And I sold advertising for a magazine, so I was going to see clients and going to different conferences and stuff like that. And I didn't have a problem. I've had my struggles, like everyone else. I remember one particular time I was going into the gym. And a woman, she walked, I was in the change room, and a woman walked from behind, you know, and she just saw the bald head, so she stopped, and she thought, you know, there's a man in the woman's locker room. And then she said, which is interesting, because I didn't really see her, but she said sorry anyhow, which I thought was interesting. And I said, no problem, but it stayed. Like, I felt it inside, and I went home. My thought process was, I should wear tighter tops. I should wear more pink. I should, you know, something that sort of showed, you know, like, whatever, I had breasts, so I must be a woman, or I'm wearing pink, I must be a woman. And I struggled with that for a bit. And then I remember sitting down and just thinking, that's not the solution. You know, the solution is not to sort of change everything around so I won't get people making comments. Right? And I realized then that, okay, either one or two things. If I'm going to go this way, I'm going to have to deal with the fact that I'm not always going to get positive comments, and people are not always going to like what I'm doing. And I had to be okay with those consequences as well. As, you know, it's the good consequences that I was going to get. And so that was that was like a critical moment for me, you know, and a critical time for me with my alopecia, saying, okay, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to realize that not everyone is always going to be positive in the responses to you. Not everyone is going to say, that's great. I'm going to run into people who are not going to like what I'm doing, or going to want me to do something differently, or going to want me just the other day, somebody said, well, you know, you're growing some hair, maybe you can grow it, and you can add braids, you know, sort of thing. And in a lot of ways, my thought process is, I spent all this time getting to a place where I'm comfortable without it. Why would I want to now put braids so I can hide it again? You know, I said, that just sounded so backwards. You know, I'm now at a place where I don't think of myself with hair anymore. I don't think, like, you know, so for a while, I remember when I first lost my hair, I thought about pictures or whatever, I thought about myself with hair. I don't see that anymore. This has become the new me.